Today's video is going to be my top 10 favorite PS4 games of the generation. Let me know in the comments what your top 10 favorite games are, and if you like the video, leave a like and subscribe. Dying Light will forever be my most underrated title of the PS4 generation. This game had it all, especially as a zombie fan. The story wasn't the greatest, but the parkour made it feel kind of fresh and new. I also did like and enjoy the cycle between night and day, and at nighttime, it was a completely different game. You go from being overpowered during the day, can easily jump over zombies, destroy zombies, but at night you became the hunted, to where you had to utilize parkour to the best of its capabilities, and that was even new and unique with the game. Still had some flaws, which is why it's so high on the list, but overall a solid and an amazing game. Coming in at number 9, we have Days Gone. Days Gone was kind of an odd game for me. I enjoyed it a lot. I loved the world. I loved the horde battles, the sawmill, I think it was called. That horde battle was just insane. Some of the best zombie encounters in the game you can find. They had the motorcycle, which was kind of also a new touch. I do like parkour in a zombie game more than the motorcycle, but it was still pretty fun when things got too intense, and you can get out of there quick. The reason why it's so high on the list, the story kind of felt a little mediocre and bland, and it was kind of a little awkward for me. That aside, it's an amazing game gameplay wise, and graphically it's beautiful. I definitely recommend playing it. Most people probably aren't going to agree and say that this game should be a lot higher on the list, even though it's coming in at number 8 for me. I'm going to list off some of the clear positives. Gameplay is 10 out of 10. Combat is amazing. Graphically, probably one of the best looking games to date that you can play. My favorite part of the game is the one-on-one duels, but then that's also kind of a con for me because there wasn't many. If I can remember, I played this game at launch, which was almost a year ago, but there was probably 5 to 7 duels at most. 10 to 15, I would have enjoyed it more. My hands down best part of the game. The biggest drawback for me is that as beautiful as the world is, it was so empty. There was nothing to do but bamboo sticks, haikus, shrines, and that got very, very repetitive for me, which is why it's coming in at number 8. This game I literally have nothing bad to say about. The gameplay, the story, the graphics, it was a nice way to wrap up, Nathan Drake's, Elena, Sully's, all these characters that we came to love over the years through this franchise. It was an amazing way to wrap up the story. It's really hard to say anything bad about this at all. Only reason why it's at number 7 is because personally the top 6 I personally enjoyed playing more, but if this was someone's number 1, I can completely understand why. I cannot tell you how much I love this game. This was my first true Resident Evil experience. I didn't get to play 1 through 4. 5 and 6 I played, as we all know, aren't really horror titles. But this game was amazing. I enjoyed it so much. I went through, got the platinum. I even died numerous amount of times chasing after the Ethan Must Die trophy, which I finally got. But this is not just one of my favorite horror games of all time, one of my favorite games in general, and I am really excited for Resident Evil 8. Starting off the top 5, we have Horizon Zero Dawn, another game on this list that I feel is extremely underrated. I feel most people overlooked it, but if they gave it a try, this is one of the best games of the generation. With the combat alone, the enemy types and their different weaknesses, it keeps it fresh. Especially on higher difficulties, it's probably some of the most intense combat you can play on a last gen game. The world is beautiful, it's fun to explore. Not much or almost anything bad to say about the game. A small little nitpick of mine is when you're speaking to NPCs, it kind of feels robotic. The dialogue kind of feels stale. But other than that, this is a 10 out of 10 game. I know a lot of people are going to say this should automatically be in the top 3. There's a ton of positives about this game that I feel we all know, so I'm not going to go into. But the reason why it's number 4 and not even in the top 3 for me is because of the lack of bosses. Coming from God of War 3, you fight Poseidon, Hades, Zeus, Kronos, Hermes in a sense, and just many others that made the game a God of War game for me. That was about 4 or 5 bosses I named. In this one, you had 3: the beginning fight, the dragon, and the end fight. I'm not counting those quick and easy cut and paste ogres and those mini titans, and the lack of bosses is the reason why it's number 4 for me. Starting off the top 3, we have my boy Spider-Man. This game restored my faith in Spider-Man games, because if we're all being honest, most of them are trash. This game had it all, from the story, the gameplay, the side characters development, the sad moments, just a multitude of enemies for Spider-Man to face. And it's not just one of the best games of this generation, it's also one of the best superhero games ever made, and I'm looking forward to part 2. Collectively, The Last of Us 1 and 2 are my favorite games of all time. I get it's a controversial game, and this game will make you love it, hate it, love it, hate it again, all while making you feel like a flaming pile of garbage while playing it. I understand all of that, but just the story it built up through the first one, the events that took place in the second, the graphics, the gameplay, the combat, it's a 10 out of 10, a 12 out of 10 masterpiece, in my opinion. I have nothing bad to say about the game. Of course, if it was up to me, certain character directions would have went a different route, but I still enjoy and love what Naughty Dog created here. One of the best games I've ever played. This game is a 20 out of 10. Hands down, the best game of the last generation, just from the story, the characters, the character development, the landscape, the world, the Easter eggs from alien ships to meteors to ghost trains, even down to just skinning an animal, how detailed and graphic it looks. This game is by far the best game. Rockstar really outdid themselves. It's not one thing I can honestly say that's bad about this game. If you have not played this game yet, I strongly recommend you take the time to do so, as you will not be disappointed. But that wraps up my top 10 PS4 games. Let me know in the comments, what games are your favorite games of this generation.